you're also you're an easy target. You're a white woman.
Well, I don't identify as a white woman.
What do you identify as?
I identify as a Jew.
Wow, we sure did learn a lot about Roseanne and got some great insight into why she tweeted what she did and what she meant. None of that happened. What the hell did I just watch? Joe Rogan Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, very popular podcast. Roseanne Barr appeared on there a week ago. Roseanne, of course, being stand-up comedian, head writer, producer of the popular 90s sitcom Roseanne, and currently media pariah for a racist tweet, if you want to call it that, depending on whose explanation you go by, where she said this. So anyway, a lot of people were really eager for her to appear on the Joe Rogan Podcast. Joe Rogan Podcast, very popular among dudes. I've heard that it is the Oprah Winfrey show for men. I personally just jump into the Joe Rogan Podcast every now and then. I'm not a huge fan of his stand-up, nor am I a fan of his personality, really. I will say that Joe Rogan does a great job of facilitating his guests into talking and opening up. But Roseanne just was not having that on this podcast here. I don't know what the hell she was on. I don't know what was going through her head. Here she had a golden opportunity to be her own PR person and really explain and go in depth into maybe what was going through her head when she tweeted out these things. And instead it was just a whole lot of just disjointed nonsense coming out of her mouth. I almost felt like she was still on an Ambien for this interview.
But as soon as you get labeled a racist, everybody throws their hands up and goes, whoa, I didn't know she was racist.
Yeah.
She's racist. And they don't care about nuance. They don't care about the details. They don't care about Ambien. They don't care about alcohol. When I called you on the phone, it was the first thing that I asked you.
One thing I've learned, Joe, if you're going to take an Ambien, do not drink a beer. Always only drink a wine.
Joe Rogan is trying his best in this podcast to white knight for Roseanne, to set her up to seem like she was the most supremely misunderstood and misjudged person with this whole Twitter situation. He was trying to set her up by saying, we live in an outrage, culture. You were on Ambien, you have mental illness, you were drinking. And instead of her just sitting back and Yes, this is true. This is what happened. She would not stop interrupting him and interjecting her inane fucking mumbo-jumbo bullshit.
And you've had legitimate, real, diagnosed, treated mental health issues, trauma-related issues. There you go.
How do you like that, baby?
It. It's a little...
I can do the
I think
alphabet.
you do better. Can you?
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Again, Joe Rogan's pretty much trying to defend you, trying to set you up to where your actions are explainable and defendable, and you're essentially burping in the man's face.
I don't even go by what people look like, except for I do look at the shape of their head, I have to admit. That's how I classify people. I classify people my own way because I don't think like everybody else thinks. I take a person's shape of their head, and that's the group they represent to me. I love all the different peoples of the earth because they all have a variety of foods that I enjoy. So I like to, I don't just mix with one kind of person in my real life. I mix with all kind of people, and because I'll go anywhere for a free meal.
This was just a train wreck of a podcast. I was looking forward to hearing her really get into the nitty gritty of what happened, say the night that she tweeted that, or what she was thinking, or some of the backlash that happened afterward. But instead, all she could talk about was foreign cultures and their cuisine and the shape of their heads, and how you shouldn't drink beer with Ambien, you should drink wine instead, even though Then we get into the whole Suzanne Rice tweet that Roseanne made, talking about swinging 8 balls or whatever that tweet was. And then she goes into explaining that tweet, saying that, oh, well, that's regional, that's regionalism. I don't know if that's a word or not, but you know, that's a regional thing. In Utah, where I grew up, every woman called their man an ape. You know, you're an ape, and if you know, sometimes you'd say, man, your ape has really big balls, and that's what I meant by that. Roseanne, why would you tweet something like that when only people in a certain small area of Utah would even know what you're talking about? Really? That's your story that you're going with for that? Okay, that's cool. You know, that's really believable, because, you know, you don't know how this whole big wide world of social media works. You know, you've been this homemaker for 50 years, you know. I just used a phrase that was common in Utah and everyone freaked out. Oh wait, no, that's not true. You've actually been a huge sitcom, television, stand-up comedian for the past 30 or 40 years. That's actually what you've been doing. So you should know all about how regional jokes probably won't land on a wide audience. I don't know, man. This was a crazy podcast that really just made her look like she was on something. I learned nothing from it. It wasn't even that entertaining to watch, which again wasn't Joe's fault. He was trying his best, but Roseanne, I think you're a little out of it. I think you're a little out of touch with society. I hope the best for you. That's all I really have to say.